everyone, welcome to my beaded lariat necklace tutorial. For those who don't know, a lariat is a very long rope style necklace without a clasp that's often worn draped multiple times around the neck. The ends can be crossed over, looped, and knotted in all different ways to create different looks. In this tutorial I will show you how to make the same style necklace as you can see here in the picture. However, I do understand that everybody is going to have different materials and may want their own look. So please feel free to use this and make your own spin on it with your own beads and findings and have fun making your lariat necklace. For this project you will need the following items: a set of jewelry pliers, beading thread in your choice of brand and style, a beading needle, scissors, 3 split rings, 9 beads for the dangle end or pendant end, oval chain with 5 links, 9 headpins, 2 circular jewelry links, seed beads of your choice in size and color, accent beads in your choice of size and color, however you want your lariat rope to look and just based on what you have available to you. And then finally, we need 2 crimp beads and 2 crimp covers. So the first step to making this beautiful lariat necklace is to make this portion here that is on one end, and I don't have a name for it. I will call it the dangle, and you can call it whatever you like. But what we will do is we will go ahead and construct something very similar to this. It will be a little different since the beads that I used for this particular one, the holes are actually at the top. And if you can see here, I'm going to be using beads for this necklace that have holes on either end. So having said that, that's why we will need our head pins so that we can go ahead and construct these teardrop shaped beads in such a way that they will be able to hang nicely from our small piece of chain. So let's get started. First we'll take one of the teardrop shaped beads, and you could use beads similar to the necklace that I showed with the holes at the top, and with that you would just place a jump ring through the hole and then attach the bead that way with the jump ring onto the chain directly. With these beads having the hole at the bottom and the top, we can take a head pin and we can start from the bottom and poke our head pin through that. And we can take our pliers, and you will need, hopefully you have a set of pliers. We're going to use the chain nose to make a nice round end that we can attach right to the chain. Now these are a little bit longer than I would like, so I'm actually going to take my set of wire cutters and I'm going to just trim a little bit of that excess. And then, slipped out here, we have just about the right size that we want, and we're just going to take our chain nose pliers and we're going to make a little loop like that. I'm just going to straighten it up a little bit. Okay, so you see we've made a little loop, and we're going to use that to attach directly to a piece of chain. And the chain that I'm using is just a silver colored oval chain, and it's got 5 links. So I'm using the 5 links. I'm going to do 2 of those teardrops attached to each of those circles, and then for the last circle I'm going to attach 1 teardrop. So that is how we're going to construct the dangle portion of our lariat necklace. So we'll take the first teardrop and we'll go ahead and slide that on, and then I'm just going to take my pliers and squeeze it together so that it won't come off. Alright, so again, we're going to take another teardrop shaped bead and another head pin, and I'm going to need to trim this head pin again to the same or very similar length that I did the first one, because I want all of these to be pretty similar. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to roll the head pin to make a loop, and then I'm going to just straighten it up a little bit and leave it open so that we can attach it to our chain. So for this one, I'm going to add the second one onto this loop, like that. I'm going to close it up with a pair of pliers and just straighten it up a little bit. So as you can see, we've got 2 sitting at this end here, and we will continue this process until we get all 9 of our teardrop shapes attached to our piece of chain with 5 links. Okay, so now that we have the dangle end of our necklace complete, we are going to go ahead and attach it to a split ring. And as you can see with the original pendant or dangle that I made, I attached it to the split ring because I didn't want to attach the portion that I'm stringing directly to the chain, due to the fact that the chain has a little split in it on each link, and I was afraid that the tiny little string could slip through the link of the chain, and I didn't want to take that chance. So that's the reason that I use a split ring, because it's a lot stronger with those 2 rings, and I just feel like it offers a little bit of extra assurance that it will stay attached. So we are going to take our dangle and let's see, let me move this light. I'm trying to practice with the lighting so that I can figure out the best system and what looks the nicest without being too harsh on everyone's eyes, and also being bright enough that I can see what I'm doing. So let's see, what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to the top, and the bottom is the link that has 1 bead hanging off of it. So this top one had 2 hanging off of it, as did all of the rest of them. So we're going to take this top link and we're going to attach the split ring to that. So I'm going to lay this down with that right there, and we're going to take our split ring, and hopefully you can see this clearly, but I'm not sure how other people open their split rings. This is the way that I found to be easiest for me. You do whatever works for you, but I take my bent nose pliers and I grab onto the outer ring and I separate it from the rest of the split ring, and once I have a little bit of a gap there, then I will go ahead and try to slip the chain or whatever it is I'm working on onto that little gap right there. And then I'll just slide it around so it becomes part of this piece, like so. So now we have our dangle pendant portion, one end, with our split ring at the top. And from here we can go ahead and start stringing. Okay, so the next step is actually stringing our lariat necklace, the rope portion of it. You see I have here the dangle that we just made with the split ring at the top. And what we're going to do first is we're going to add a little crimp bead to our needle, and then we're going to put our needle through the split ring and hold it with our hand kind of in place, and we're going to pull our string all the way to the end but leave a little bit of a tail, whatever you're comfortable with. I leave about, looks like about 4 inches, and then we're going to go back up through that crimp bead. Sorry, got away from me a little bit there, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. There's that tail, and there's our crimp bead, and we just looped it around the split ring. So then we're going to take a pair of pliers, and I do not have crimping pliers, but if you do, that's great. Go ahead and use those. Now I'm just going to secure our crimp bead, and I'm going to cover this anyway with a crimp cover so it'll look a little bit more finished. But I'm just pinching it on there, make sure it's on there nice and tight. Okay. So that's how we are going to start stringing our lariat necklace. The next step, if you haven't already thought it through, is to go ahead and think about what kind of pattern you want to have. You know, if you want to make it more random, if you want to make it all very symmetrical, think about how you want to string your lariat rope and do whatever works for you and based on whatever materials that you have. And right now I am just trying to get a little knot out of my string. I find that I do not like the wildfire string as much as the Fireline, and I constantly get these little knots in my string, which is super frustrating. But hey, this is reality, and you're seeing the reality of what happens. So if I can get it out, hopefully we can continue now with this video. Otherwise I will pause it and work on this frustrating knot. Okay, anyway, got that out. That's just part of it, right? That's just part of making jewelry. You get knots sometimes. Alright, so we have our little tail here, and our crimp bead is secure, and let me move my seed beads over. And if you look at the original lariat necklace that I made, I went ahead and just strung on the 4 accent beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way at the bottom, just to kind of add a little something at that point, since this is one of the parts that's going to be seen the most. But you can do whatever you would like to do. I'm going to go ahead and string on one of my bicones, one of my crystal rondelles, one of my glass pearls, and then one of these rectangular glass beads. And I'm just going to go ahead and start sliding that down. And what I like to try to do is I like to try to get that tail to feed through those beads as well. So you may have to take it one at a time in order to get it through. I just feel like it works out pretty good, and I didn't realize I still have a little piece of monofilament attached to this bead. Wouldn't you know, I would pick up the one with the monofilament. There we go. Oh well. Alright, so got the one. We're gonna try to feed this through our rondelle, and then we're gonna try to do that with these other two, and then I'll show you my little method of securing the beads at that point. So as you can see, this will be the end. I just like to add a few extra of those accent beads. I think it looks kind of nice. But I'm just going to take my tail and I'm going to wrap it around the main string and make a little knot here, like so. And this is going to end up feeding underneath the next set of beads, so you really won't see it. I just like to knot it more at this point than at the very beginning. I feel like it's a little more secure that way. And I'll just do one more for fun. And pull it tight. And I'm going to go ahead and snip that off. So just take your scissors and snip that as close as you can. Okay, so now that we've done that, you can string your beads in any order that you would like. I went ahead and picked out 4 types of specialty beads, is what I'm calling them, or the accent beads, that will go along my lariat rope, just like I did with this original design. And I did them randomly. I did not pick up these accent beads in the same order throughout the whole rope. I just think that it looks kind of nice to have it a little bit not so matchy-matchy, but it's matchy enough because it's the same beads that you're using throughout the piece, so it will still look like it coordinates and won't look weird. So what I did with this is I did 10 seed beads and then an accent bead, 10 seed beads and an accent bead, and so on and so forth, all the way until I got to my desired length. So that's what I will go ahead and do, is follow a similar pattern as that. So I'm going to first sprinkle some seed beads on my mat, and I'm going to pick up 10. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 seed beads on my needle, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up an accent bead, and again, just I'm doing it in kind of a random order. Slide that down. Alright, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whoops, 7, 8, 9, 10 seed beads. And then we're going to pick up another accent bead. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a white bicone, put that on, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pick up a crystal, and I'll just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then finally my other accent bead that I hadn't used yet. And I'm going to continue in like manner, just going ahead and stringing all of my beads on until I have the desired length of the rope. And just for your information, I'm going to go ahead and measure the length of my rope for my original design, which seemed to be a good length for both. I was able to wrap it twice around my neck, or I was able to loop up one end and feed it through the circular links. It just seemed to be a good length for me, but use whatever you'd like. So let's see, 19. So my length that I used was about 38 inches for the rope. So if you'd like to do the same thing, feel free. If you'd like to make it longer or shorter, feel free to do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and make one the same length for the video. So go ahead and string on your entire length of rope, and we'll meet back here and finish up our lariat necklace. Okay, so at this point I'm just putting the finishing touches on my lariat rope, and I'm down to my very last segment, so I'm going to do 10 more, 7, 8, 9, 10, make sure that's 10, and my last accent bead I'm going to go ahead and put on one of these rectangles. And at this point we are ready to finish our other side. So once you've strung on all of your beads, then you want to go ahead and put on your last crimp bead, which I seem to not be seeing right now, so I had to grab another one. So we're going to put our last crimp bead on, followed by another split ring. We're just going to go through it. And then we're going to go back through our crimp bead the opposite way and pull your rope taut, not too tight, but just, so it's tight enough. And then at that point, you can go ahead and take your pliers or your crimping tool, and you can go ahead and just secure that crimp bead and press it down. And again, I'm going to use crimp covers to give it a little bit of a cleaner look. You can do that if you'd like to. And we are going to just take our needle to create a little loop here right next to the crimp bead, and then I'm going to go through that loop to make a little knot, and we're going to pull it so that it goes right there next to the crimp bead and our last accent bead. And then I'm going to go back through the last accent bead and through a few seed beads as well. And this is just how I am tying off my work and making it secure. So I'm going to do another loop and pull my needle through the loop, and let's see where that's landing here. We're going to go ahead and just pull, so we have a little knot there, and I'm going to continue on, and I'll do 3 or 4 of those until I feel a little bit more comfortable with how secure this necklace is. So I've made about 4, I believe they're called half hitch knots, along the end here, and I've just fed the knots through and I fed my needle and thread through a few more beads so the knot would be hidden. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and carefully snip off the end. So what you're left with is your other end with a split ring attached. And you'll notice on the finished piece of my original necklace, I have 2 circles here in 2 different sizes with a split ring in the center, and those are attached to this other end of the lariat rope with the split ring. So we're just going to attach those together just like in the original design. Now if you don't have ring links such as those round links, you can bead yourself a link in order to finish off your lariat. You can use some kind of a round bead that maybe has an extra large hole in the center. There's different ways you can do it. This is just the way that I'm using for purposes of this video, and because I'm using what I have, and it's always best to use what you have, right? So you don't have to spend any more money than you need to. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take my split ring, and I've got it separated with my bent nose pliers, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one around the smaller ring. And by the way, I'm not sure where else you can find these rings, perhaps eBay. I have not seen them at my local craft stores. I went ahead and placed an order from a seller on Etsy who sells all different types of links, so I actually got different shapes for different projects, and so that was the most cost-effective way for me to order these links. I had quite a few projects I wanted to use them in, and I had kind of a hard time finding them. So if anybody has a good source for them and would like to leave that information in the comments, please feel free. That would be super helpful. So again, we have our 2 circles, links with our split ring in the center, and I'm going to take the very end of our lariat rope and I'm going to open up the split ring at that end, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the smaller circle link, like so. I'm going to wrap it around. Alright, so we have our very nice lariat end there. Our 2 ends like this. And what we're going to do finally to just give it a little bit more of a finishing touch is we're going to take our crimp ends covers, and we're going to go ahead and put those over those crimp beads so it just looks a little bit more finished at the end. And I'm going to grab a different crimp end because the other one I had sitting there looks like it's a little bit bent, so that won't work. So I'm going to take this other crimp cover and I'm going to go over the first crimp bead that we used in the very beginning, right in front of our dangle end. And as you can see, this end will fit nicely right through that large link, and it can be worn around the neck in several different ways, but in the end it's going to fit together like that. You can wrap the necklace around the neck once and have this part hanging down, or you can take, see, these are ends, see if I can show you with the limited view that I have. So what I did was I basically folded it in half. I have this end here and this end here with our 2 ends, and you can feed those through the loop with the loop or this part being the part that would go around your neck, and then this part hanging down, and then you could even take, when it's hanging down, the dangle part and put it through there as well, like that, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to see from this small camera angle, and they look so pretty on. They really look nice. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Again, it's my very first tutorial, so I'm still going to be playing with the lighting and all the different effects and things to make sure that I keep improving. So any advice would be great, or just even nice encouraging comments would be great too. I'll take what I can get. And I hope you have fun making a lariat necklace, and maybe you got some ideas and learned a few things from the way I put this one together. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would also love for you to follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Etsy, Orchid and Opal Jewelry. Thanks for watching!